It's a quiet morning. The world feels slow, like the calm before a new day unfolds. Sunlight filters through the trees, casting soft, golden beams across the yard. A light breeze stirs the leaves, and the distant chirp of birds fills the air. The house is still, except for the sound of soft paws padding gently along the porch. On the edge of the driveway, by the old, rusted mailbox, stands a dog. A humble creature, but there's something special about the way it waits there, patiently, every single morning. It's not rushing or restless, there's a peace in its stance, as though it knows something the world doesn't. The dog's eyes are fixed on the horizon, its ears alert, yet its posture is calm, like it's waiting for something, or someone. The mailbox flaps in the breeze, but the dog remains still, a soft reminder of how a simple habit can hold the weight of something greater. Every few moments, it shifts its weight, lifting a paw in anticipation, its eyes never leaving the road that winds through the neighborhood. Inside the house, the human watches from the window, a cup of coffee in hand. There's a softness in their expression, mixed with a touch of curiosity. Why does the dog always wait there? What draws it to the mailbox each morning? And yet, there's something more. The dog's gaze is focused, intent on the empty road, as if it senses something beyond the ordinary. What the dog sensed would change everything. The sun is just beginning to peek over the horizon, casting a soft, golden hue across the quiet suburban street. The air is crisp and fresh, the kind of morning that feels like the world is still taking its first breaths. Trees, their leaves still holding the remnants of early autumn, sway gently in the breeze. Everything feels still, as if the earth itself is taking a moment of quiet reflection. A small house sits on the corner, its white paint warm under the soft light. The front porch is tidy, with a small wicker chair sitting next to a potted plant that hasn't bloomed in months. The house, though modest, carries a charm that's uniquely its own. It's the kind of place where the mornings are slow, where time seems to stretch a little longer than usual. From the window of this house, a figure watches. A man, probably in his mid-30s, with kind eyes and a quiet demeanor. He's holding a mug, the steam rising in gentle swirls, filling the room with the comforting scent of coffee. His gaze isn't on the scenery, though it's fixed on the edge of the driveway, where an old, rusted mailbox stands. Beside the mailbox, there's a dog. The dog is an unassuming sight, a medium-sized mutt with fur that's a patchwork of browns, whites, and blacks. But there's something in the way it stands there, its head tilted slightly, its gaze unwavering, that holds an unspoken power. The dog's body is still, but its eyes are alert, searching the road, as if it's expecting something, waiting for something to happen. The man takes a slow sip of his coffee, his eyes following the dog's every movement. He doesn't know why, but there's something oddly comforting about the dog's quiet presence. The dog has been doing this, waiting by the mailbox every morning for the past few weeks. The man isn't sure what started it. Maybe it's just a habit, or perhaps there's something more to it. The dog shifts its weight, lifting its front paw for a brief moment, and then sets it down again. Its focus doesn't waver, its gaze remains fixed on the road ahead. The man leans a little closer to the window, frowning slightly in curiosity. There's a stillness to the dog's behavior, a quiet anticipation that he can't quite explain. It's as if the dog knows something he doesn't. The mailbox creaks in the wind, but the dog doesn't flinch. Instead, it takes a few slow steps forward, closer to the road, its body low to the ground in a way that speaks of quiet patience. The man watches, wondering what the dog is waiting for. His mind starts to wander, maybe it's just a routine. Maybe the dog has learned that every morning, the mail arrives. But even as he thinks it, he knows it's more than that. There's something about the way the dog stands there, so still, so purposeful. It's not just waiting for the mail. The man sets his mug down quietly on the windowsill, the warmth of it still lingering in his hand. He feels an unexpected tug at his chest. It's a small thing, this moment, just a dog in a mailbox, but it feels like it's a part of something bigger, something deeper. And he doesn't know why, but he wants to understand it. The dog shifts again, lifting its paw once more and glancing up the road, its ears pricking up in quiet anticipation. And for the first time, the man wonders if the dog is waiting for something, someone. As the morning sun slowly climbs higher, casting long shadows across the lawn, the man watches the dog with a mixture of affection and curiosity. He feels a soft pull in his heart, as if the dog's quiet ritual is calling him to pay attention, to notice something he hadn't before. And just as he starts to turn away, as if the moment is about to pass like so many others, the dog's eyes lock with his for the briefest of moments, a fleeting glance that sends a ripple of emotion through him. The connection feels sudden and unspoken, but undeniable. The man blinks, unsure of what he's feeling. For a brief moment, the dog's gaze seems to say something that neither of them can fully understand. It's as if the dog is trying to communicate, trying to tell him something important, but the words are just out of reach. The man takes a step back from the window, still watching the dog, and then glances at the mailbox. A wave of realization washes over him. It's not about the mail at all. The dog isn't just waiting for a letter. It's waiting for something more. Something that only the dog understands. His heart tightens slightly. There's a quiet, unspoken truth in the air, but it's too soft to hear. What the dog sensed would change everything. The next morning, the quiet stillness of the neighborhood feels the same. The sunlight is softer today, filtering through a thin layer of clouds that hang like a blanket over the horizon. The breeze, though gentle, carries a hint of rain, but it's not enough to disturb the calm. The man stands in the kitchen, sipping his coffee, looking out at the driveway. There, as expected, the dog is already waiting by the mailbox. The man smiles to himself, a quiet warmth settling over him. He's come to expect the dog's presence each morning, like an unspoken promise of routine. But today, there's something different about the dog. It stands a little taller, its ears perked up in a way that feels more alert than usual. The usual calmness in its posture remains, but there's an added layer, a quiet intensity, like the dog is anticipating something, though it doesn't seem anxious. Just certain. The man watches the dog as it takes a few steps forward, the grass underfoot crunching softly. Its gaze sweeps the empty street, scanning the road as if it knows, somewhere deep down, that something is about to happen. The dog's head tilts slightly, a gesture so subtle it might be missed by anyone else. But the man notices it, and it stirs something inside him, something unspoken. For the briefest of moments, the dog's eyes flick toward the horizon, beyond the reach of the street. Its expression softens, its eyes narrowing with quiet focus. The man leans closer to the window, a hand resting lightly on the sill. He feels a strange tug of connection, as if the dog is reaching out to him without saying a word. It's as though the dog knows exactly when the world shifts, even in the smallest way. The mailbox flaps gently in the wind, and the dog seems to know that it's not the arrival of a letter it's waiting for, it's something else, something that only it can sense. The man shakes his head, almost in disbelief. He's not sure why he feels this way, but there's a sensation, like the air is thick with unspoken words. The dog's presence is comforting, yes, but also mysterious. He watches as the dog shifts again, this time moving slightly closer to the road. Its body language is still relaxed, but there's an unmistakable precision in its movements. The dog steps forward with such purpose, each motion deliberate, like it's on the edge of something it's been waiting for. Its eyes are fixed on the road as if it's waiting for a specific moment, a moment that hasn't arrived yet but will. The man can't help but wonder, how does the dog know? His thoughts are interrupted as the dog pauses, its head tilting ever so slightly to the side. A soft breeze rustles through the trees, and for a moment, everything is still. The dog's eyes soften, and then it lowers its head for a moment, as if in quiet reflection. He feels the same pull he felt the day before, a quiet curiosity that grows with every passing morning. Something about the dog's demeanor, its quiet focus, speaks to him in a way he can't quite explain. It's like the dog knows a secret that's just beyond his grasp. The mailbox creaks again, but this time, the dog doesn't react. It remains calm, its eyes shifting just slightly, as though it's waiting for a signal. A sound in the distance, faint at first, like the hum of an engine, causes the dog's body to tense, just for a fraction of a second, and then relax. It's as though the dog's senses are attuned to the smallest of details, things the man can't even hear. The man presses his face closer to the glass, squinting slightly, trying to see what the dog might be sensing. There's nothing visible on the road, no cars, no people. Yet the dog stands there, focused and alert, as if it can feel something that's out of his reach. He takes another sip of his coffee, deep in thought. Could the dog be sensing the slightest change in the atmosphere? Or is it just instinct, something simple, something biological? For a brief moment, the man wonders if the dog has always been this aware. He doesn't remember the last time he paid such close attention to anything. The dog seems to be teaching him how to see the world differently, how to notice the quiet details that pass unnoticed in the hustle of daily life. As he turns away from the window to grab his coat, a sudden sound catches his attention. It's distant, almost inaudible, but it's there, the soft rumble of an approaching vehicle. His heart skips a beat, and he turns back toward the window just in time to see the dog's posture change once more. The dog stands taller now, its body perfectly still, every muscle focused, its eyes locked onto the road. The man watches, heart beating a little faster. The quiet certainty in the dog's stance makes something shift in him. He feels a sudden rush of realization. The dog is not just waiting. It's expecting. Expecting what? As the vehicle draws closer, the man wonders if the dog knows something he doesn't, if it can sense a change in the world that's still invisible to him. His mind races with possibilities, but there's a soft, knowing calm in the dog's gaze that stops him. The vehicle slows, coming to a stop just past the driveway. And as the man watches, the dog lowers its head slightly, as though acknowledging something that only it understands. The man steps back from the window, heart still fluttering. He doesn't know why, but for a moment, he feels a quiet ache inside him, as if the dog's waiting, its unspoken intuition, is a reminder of something long forgotten. He stands there, looking at the dog and then out at the road, wondering what's really happening. What is it that the dog knows? What is it waiting for? The days slip by quietly, each morning blending into the next with the same slow rhythm. The dog continues its daily ritual, waiting by the mailbox with an unwavering focus. The man's curiosity grows with each passing day, and he finds himself waking a little earlier, peeking through the window before he even pours his first cup of coffee. It's become a part of his routine now, this quiet morning ritual. But the more he watches, the more he's drawn in. He can't quite explain it, but there's something about the dog's patience, its steadfastness, that calls to him. The dog doesn't rush, doesn't grow impatient. It simply waits, and in that stillness, there's something almost meditative. Each day, the dog's behavior becomes a little more intriguing. Its gaze is sharper now, its posture even more deliberate. The man starts to wonder if the dog is waiting for something specific. He can't help but think back to the day the dog's eyes locked with his. The fleeting moment when the dog seemed to communicate something unspoken, something he couldn't quite grasp. The dog shifts slightly, and the man's eyes follow its every movement. Today, the dog steps forward with greater purpose, its nose twitching as if it's detecting something on the wind. It's small, almost imperceptible, but it's there. The dog's movements are calculated, its body language that of someone waiting for a signal. The man watches, mesmerized. He has seen this same behavior for days, but today, something is different. It's as though the dog's quiet anticipation is growing more pronounced, more tangible. There's a subtle tension in the air, a soft tug of uncertainty, but it's not fear. It's something gentler, something that feels like the calm before a change. The man feels a pull, a desire to understand. What does the dog know? What is it sensing that he's missing? There's an ache inside him now, a yearning to connect, to understand the dog's quiet patience. He finds himself wondering if the dog's behavior is connected to something beyond its simple habit of waiting for the mail. And so, he begins to make a habit of walking out to the porch each morning, standing a few feet away from the dog. He doesn't make a sound at first, just watches. The dog doesn't acknowledge him, but the man doesn't mind. There's something peaceful in simply being near it, in sharing the silence of the morning. It's a feeling he hasn't had in years, a quiet companionship, a soft connection that doesn't require words. The man starts to notice small things, the way the dog's tail flicks slightly when the wind shifts, the way its ears perk up when the slightest sound reaches the air. The dog seems to be attuned to every change in its environment, even the most subtle ones. The man marvels at how aware the dog is, how it picks up on things that go unnoticed by everyone else. There's something about this awareness, this quiet sensitivity, that feels deeply familiar. As if the dog's connection to the world is something he used to know, before the busyness of life took over. One morning, as he steps out onto the porch, the dog turns its head just slightly, its gaze locking with his for a moment. The connection is instant, though silent. The man feels a warmth spread through him, as if the dog has just invited him into its world. It's a strange thing, this quiet exchange, but it stirs something inside him. He takes a deep breath, the air cool against his skin, and suddenly, everything feels a little softer, a little more alive. The dog shifts its weight and begins walking toward the road, its movements smooth and steady. The man watches, wondering if it's a signal, if the dog is preparing for something. His heart beats a little faster, the same fluttering sensation he's come to associate with the dog's quiet moments of anticipation. The dog pauses at the edge of the road, its body completely still. It's as though it's waiting for something, waiting for a moment that only it can feel. The man doesn't move, afraid that if he does, he'll disturb something delicate. For a long moment, neither of them moves. The sound of a car approaching reaches the man's ears, distant at first but growing louder. The dog doesn't flinch. It doesn't even acknowledge the sound, its focus never leaving the empty road. The man's eyes flicker to the mailbox. It's still empty. He takes a slow step forward, and the dog, sensing his movement, turns its head just for a second. There's a softness in its eyes, almost like an invitation. For a moment, the man wonders if he's missing something, if the dog is waiting for a message, a signal that he can't see. He knows it's not the mail, it's something else. But what? As the car draws closer, the dog's body relaxes. It's as though it's seen something or sensed something that the man can't. The car passes by, slowing to a crawl as it nears the corner, and the dog watches it go. Its tail flicks slightly, and then it turns, walking back toward the mailbox as if nothing has happened. The man stands still, watching. It's a small thing, the dog's reaction, the car's passing, but in that moment, something clicks in his mind. The dog isn't waiting for something on the road, not in the way he thought. It's waiting for the signs, the subtle shifts in the air, in the world around it. The dog is attuned to the pulse of the world in a way that the man has forgotten how to be. He takes a deep breath, feeling something shift inside of him, a quiet understanding beginning to form. The dog's waiting is more than a habit. It's a way of being, a way of listening to the world in a way that he's lost touch with. The man steps back from the porch, looking at the dog once more as it settles by the mailbox. There's no rush, no urgency. Just a quiet knowing. And for the first time, he begins to see the world and the dog in a new light. As the days unfold into weeks, the quiet mornings stretch on like a comforting routine. The dog remains as steady and constant as the rising sun, and the man, too, finds himself drawn more deeply into the rhythm of the mornings. Each day, he finds himself looking forward to the moment when he steps out onto the porch, coffee in hand, to watch the dog's quiet ritual. The dog, for its part, doesn't change. It continues its daily wait, its gaze fixed on the empty road, its body poised and calm. And yet, there's something in the way the man watches the dog now, something deeper. He has grown to cherish these moments of peace, the soft silence that hangs in the air between them. It's as if the dog's quiet presence has invited him into a space he's long since forgotten, a space where time slows, where the world isn't rushing by, but rather, breathing with him. The man begins to notice more. He notices the way the dog's coat glistens in the morning light, the way its eyes seem to soften when the sun touches its face. He notices how, even on the most still mornings, there is a quiet energy about the dog, a kind of knowing that seems beyond words. It's the kind of energy that makes everything else feel a little lighter, a little slower. As though the dog has become a part of the landscape itself, an anchor in a world that moves too quickly. One morning, as he stands on the porch, coffee warm in his hands, the dog turns to look at him. This time, the look is different. It's not just a passing glance, not a brief moment of connection. No, this time, the dog's gaze holds something deeper, something more intentional. For a moment, the man feels like the dog sees him not just as the person who watches from the window, but as someone who shares in the quiet of the space. "Hey there," the man says softly, his voice barely rising above the quiet hum of the morning. The dog tilts its head slightly, the soft light catching the edges of its fur. It's a simple gesture, a subtle shift, but to the man, it feels like the dog is acknowledging him in a way it never has before. His heart catches in his chest. It's as if, for the first time, the dog is inviting him into its world, a world that has, until now, been marked by silence and mystery. The dog's silent waiting is no longer just a habit. It's a quiet form of communication, one that the man has finally begun to understand. He steps forward, gently lowering his mug onto the porch railing. The dog doesn't move away, doesn't retreat into the safety of its usual stance by the mailbox. Instead, it stands there, calm and steady, watching him with that knowing look in its eyes. The man takes another slow step closer, and the dog's tail flicks once, gently, in a quiet greeting. The man crouches down, his movements slow and deliberate. He reaches out, his hand hovering just above the dog's head. The dog doesn't flinch, doesn't back away. Instead, it leans into the touch, its body warm and solid beneath his fingertips. For a brief moment, the man closes his eyes, simply feeling the connection between them. It's a gentle touch, but it carries with it the weight of something more. Something unspoken. "I've been watching you for a while," the man murmurs, his voice soft and almost wistful. He isn't sure why he's speaking, but the words come out anyway. "I don't really know what you're waiting for, but I think I'm starting to understand." The dog looks up at him again, its eyes soft but steady. It doesn't bark, doesn't respond in any way the man is familiar with. But somehow, in that quiet moment, the man feels a deeper sense of connection. It's as though the dog has been waiting for him, waiting for him to notice, to step into its world, to understand. As the dog shifts slightly, moving back toward the mailbox, the man stands and follows it. It's an instinctive motion, like following a trail that has been laid out just for him. The dog doesn't lead him with urgency. Instead, it simply moves at its own pace, its tail swishing gently behind it as it steps toward the edge of the driveway. The man follows a few steps behind, taking in the simple beauty of the moment. The morning air is crisp, carrying the faint scent of earth and flowers. The world feels vast, and yet, in this space, it's as if the man and the dog are the only two beings who matter. Everything else has faded into the background, leaving just the two of them, moving through the stillness together. The dog pauses at the edge of the driveway, looking down the road with that same quiet focus. The man stands beside it, his gaze drawn to the same empty street. There's no one in sight. No car approaching, no footsteps on the sidewalk. Just the gentle sway of the trees and the soft whisper of the wind. But somehow, even in the absence of anything visible, there is a feeling in the air. A sense of expectancy. The man can't explain it, but he feels it too, a gentle tug, as if the world itself is holding its breath, waiting for something to change. And just as the dog shifts its weight, moving back toward the mailbox with a quiet grace, the man feels something inside him settle. The quiet curiosity he's been carrying for weeks now feels like it's beginning to answer itself. There's a deeper connection here, something that goes beyond the dog's behavior or its ritual of waiting. It's a connection to the world around them, to the silence they share, to the space between them that feels more meaningful than anything the man has experienced in a long time. For the first time, the man doesn't feel like an outsider in this moment. He feels like he belongs. The days have begun to blur together, each one following the last with the same quiet beauty. But now, something has shifted. The dog's ritual, its stillness by the mailbox, feels more familiar, more like a shared moment than something he simply watches from a distance. The man has come to recognize the rhythm of the mornings, the slight shifts in the dog's posture, the way its eyes remain focused and intent. Today, the man steps out onto the porch a little earlier than usual, drawn by a feeling that he can't quite name. There's a soft urgency in his chest, a quiet pull that has been growing with every passing morning. His hand grips the cold ceramic of his coffee mug a little more tightly than usual, the warmth from the drink a small comfort against the growing ache of curiosity. The dog is already there, waiting, as always. It stands by the mailbox, its back straight, its eyes scanning the road with the same calm focus. The man notices that the dog's posture is even more deliberate today, a slight tension in its stance, as though it's expecting something, anticipating a moment that only it can sense. The dog's eyes flick to the horizon for a brief moment, then back to the road, a soft flicker of movement in its gaze. For a moment, the man wonders if he's finally lost his mind. Is he seeing things? Reading too much into the dog's behavior? Maybe. But the more he observes, the more he feels a certainty settling in his chest. There is something here, something more than just a dog waiting for the mail. The dog is waiting for something, but what? And why? He takes a step closer to the dog, his heart beating just a little faster. The dog doesn't flinch. Instead, it turns its head slightly to look at him, and in that brief glance, the man feels a deeper understanding pass between them. It's as if the dog is aware of him in a way it hasn't been before, aware that he's no longer simply an observer but an active participant in this quiet ritual. The man's heart stirs at the thought. It's not just waiting for something anymore, the dog is waiting with him and, somehow, for him. The man lowers himself down onto the porch steps, sitting just a few feet away from the dog. He watches quietly, letting the silence hang in the air. The dog's gaze remains fixed on the road, but it doesn't move away from him. It's as if it knows that the man is now a part of this moment, this space of stillness and anticipation. Time feels like it stretches. There's a sense of peaceful expectation hanging in the air. The man knows there's something waiting just beyond the horizon, some answer, some truth, but it's too soft, too elusive to grasp. He finds himself holding his breath, as if afraid to disturb the delicate balance of the moment. Then, as if on cue, the dog shifts its weight, its eyes narrowing slightly. A faint sound reaches the man's ears, the soft hum of a car engine approaching. It's distant at first, barely audible, but it steadily grows louder. The dog's posture doesn't change, but there's a subtle shift in its stance, a faint increase in its alertness. It knows something is coming. The man watches as the car draws closer, the sound becoming sharper. He feels a strange, sudden unease in his chest, though he can't explain why. The dog doesn't seem worried, just calm, its body still as a stone. The car rounds the corner and slows as it nears the driveway. The man can see it now, a pale blue sedan, moving slowly along the road. It's an ordinary car, driven by an ordinary person, yet in this moment, it feels anything but ordinary. The dog doesn't move, but it stands a little taller, its body more rigid as it watches the car approach. And then, just as the car is about to pass by, the man sees it. A subtle flicker in the dog's eyes, a knowing glance that shifts its focus, not just on the car, but on the driver behind the wheel. It's the smallest of movements, but to the man, it feels like a revelation. For the first time, he realizes the dog isn't just waiting for anything, it's waiting for someone. The car passes by, but the dog's gaze remains fixed. The man feels a deep pang in his chest, the realization settling heavily in his bones. The dog knows this car, knows the person inside it. There's a connection here, one that's been waiting to be uncovered. The car slowly disappears around the corner, and the dog lets out a quiet sigh, its shoulders relaxing. It's a small thing, but it feels like the release of a long-held breath. The man doesn't know why, but a deep sense of peace washes over him, mixed with a strange, bittersweet emotion. He stands up, his legs stiff from sitting on the cold porch steps. He moves closer to the dog, who is still by the mailbox, its eyes scanning the empty street. There's no immediate movement, no sign of the car returning. Just the soft rustle of the wind and the distant chirping of birds. The man's heart is heavy, but there's also something warm growing in his chest. The pieces are beginning to fall into place. The dog's waiting is not for a letter, not for the mundane arrival of the mail. It's waiting for a person. A person who has, perhaps, been absent for a long time. And the dog knows, somehow, that their return is inevitable, that the moment will come when the road will bring them back. The man takes a slow breath, looking down at the dog. "I think I'm starting to understand," he says quietly, almost to himself. "You're not just waiting. You're remembering." The dog's eyes flicker to him for a moment, a soft, knowing look that seems to say, "Yes, I am." The mornings feel different now. There's a quiet weight to the air, a soft pull that drags at the man's chest as he steps out onto the porch each day. The dog is still there, waiting by the mailbox, its posture unwavering, its gaze fixed on the empty road. But the man can't look at the dog the same way anymore. Something has shifted inside of him. Each morning, as the dog waits, he wonders more deeply about the moments that have passed between them. The connection feels stronger now, more intimate, and he can't shake the feeling that the dog is waiting for something or someone that he can't see, not yet. The sound of the car passing by, the subtle flicker in the dog's gaze when it spots the vehicle, it's become clear. The dog isn't just waiting for a stranger, for a random passerby. It's waiting for someone important, someone whose presence has been absent for far too long. And now, as the man stands on the porch, watching the dog, he feels an overwhelming sense of compassion for it, for the quiet loyalty, the silent hope, that has driven it to wait every single day. But there's a deeper question now, one that presses against the man's heart like a quiet ache. Why is he so certain that the dog is waiting for a person who isn't here anymore? The idea has taken root in his mind, and no matter how much he tries to push it away, it lingers, growing with each passing day. It's not just the dog's behavior that's changed. It's the man's perspective. He started to see the world differently, to notice the small details he'd once overlooked. The warmth of the morning light. The way the dog's tail sways gently when the wind picks up. The little sighs it makes as it watches the road. Everything feels more meaningful now, more connected. But there's something else. Something that's been quietly gnawing at him. The man remembers the days before the dog started waiting by the mailbox. He remembers a time when the mornings weren't so still, when life was louder, faster, more chaotic. But now, the world feels softer. There's a quiet peace in these early mornings, a peace that the dog has brought him. And yet, even in that peace, there's a longing for something more, something that the man can't quite put into words. One morning, as the sun rises over the horizon, painting the sky in soft hues of pink and gold, the man stands by the porch, watching the dog. The ritual is the same, but there's a quiet sense of urgency in the air today. The man can feel it, like the world is holding its breath. The dog is focused, its gaze never straying from the empty road. And in that moment, the man knows something. The dog isn't just waiting for a person to return. It's waiting for the moment when everything aligns, when the world shifts just enough for the person to come back. It's waiting for a reunion, for something that was lost to be found once more. And the dog knows that moment is coming. The man steps forward, moving closer to the dog. He's never felt this close to it before, never been so attuned to its quiet anticipation. He crouches down beside the dog, resting a hand gently on its back. The dog doesn't flinch, doesn't move away. Instead, it leans into the touch, as if it's acknowledging the man's presence in a way it hasn't before. For a long moment, neither of them moves. The world around them is still, save for the occasional rustling of leaves and the distant call of a bird. The air is warm, but there's a crispness to it, as if autumn is just around the corner. And in that stillness, the man feels something shift in his chest. The dog's eyes are soft now, almost sad, but there's a glimmer of hope in them too. It's a look that speaks of patience, of faith that the waiting will be worth it. The man wonders if the dog knows something he doesn't. Does it understand the power of waiting, of hope? Has it known all along that the one it's waiting for is coming back, even if no one else believes it? The man's thoughts are interrupted by the sound of a car in the distance, faint at first, but growing louder with each passing second. His heart skips a beat. The dog's ears perk up, its body stiffening with that same quiet anticipation. The man feels the air around him crackle with tension, as if everything is aligning in this one moment. The car is coming closer, and the dog's gaze doesn't leave the road. It's as if it can feel the car's approach before anyone else can. And then, as the car comes into view, the man sees it, the same pale blue sedan from before. His heart races. The dog's posture hasn't changed, it remains still, focused, waiting for the car to pass. But this time, the man feels something more. This time, it's as if the world is holding its breath with him. The car slows as it nears the driveway, and the man watches, his heart beating faster in his chest. The dog's gaze never wavers. There's a certainty in its eyes, a belief that this moment, this exact moment, is the one it's been waiting for. The car passes, slowly this time, and the man can see the driver. It's not a stranger. It's not a random person passing by. It's someone the dog knows. The man can see it in the way the dog reacts, in the way its posture softens, just slightly, as if acknowledging something deep and familiar. And then the car is gone, disappearing around the corner. The man stands there, heart pounding, as the dog lets out a quiet sigh. There's a shift in the air, a moment of quiet release, and the man feels the weight of everything settle in his chest. The waiting, the anticipation, it wasn't just for anyone. It was for this moment. The dog had known all along that the one it was waiting for was just around the corner, and now, the moment has passed. The truth, in all its quiet beauty, has finally revealed itself. The morning after the car passed, everything feels different. The air is thick with the unspoken truth that has finally begun to unfold. The dog's quiet waiting, the man's growing curiosity, and the subtle shifts in their shared mornings, all of it has led to this moment. But there's something still lingering, something that hasn't fully settled inside the man's heart. The truth that has slowly revealed itself is beautiful, yes, but it also carries with it a bittersweet weight that he isn't sure how to carry just yet. He wakes early, the sky still dark, and steps out onto the porch, his breath visible in the cool morning air. The dog is already waiting, as it always does, standing by the mailbox with a quiet intensity in its eyes. The man watches for a moment, his heart still racing from the previous day. He can't deny it anymore, the dog isn't just waiting for a letter. It isn't just standing by the mailbox in some mindless routine. It is waiting for someone. Someone who has been absent from the dog's life for a long time. And the man has finally come to understand that this person, this figure from the past, is not just someone the dog used to know. It's someone the man used to know too. The realization is like a soft breath, the kind that releases all the tension in his chest. He hadn't known the full extent of it, hadn't been able to see the dog's behavior in this light, but now, in the quiet of the morning, it becomes clear. The dog is waiting for someone it loves. Someone who left, but who will return. And in this waiting, there is a beauty that stretches beyond time. The man steps off the porch and walks slowly toward the mailbox, his footsteps light and deliberate. The dog watches him but doesn't move from its spot. The man crouches down beside the dog, looking at it with a mixture of awe and tenderness. The dog's eyes meet his, and for the first time, he feels as though he's truly understanding its quiet devotion. "You're waiting for someone, aren't you?" the man says softly, his voice a low murmur in the stillness of the morning. The dog doesn't respond with anything more than a slight tilt of its head, but the look in its eyes tells him all he needs to know. It's not waiting for anything as trivial as the mail. It's waiting for someone it loves. The man's heart aches with a deep, unspoken emotion. He remembers now the person the dog is waiting for. The one who left, the one who the dog has been holding onto all this time. It wasn't just a person the dog knew. It was someone from his own past, someone he had lost touch with, someone he had pushed away. For the first time in years, the man feels a wave of guilt wash over him. The dog had known all along what was missing. It had kept waiting, kept believing that this person would return. And the man had failed to see it, had failed to see the depth of the bond that remained, even after time had passed. The dog's patience, its quiet loyalty, now feels like a mirror, reflecting the man's own loss. It wasn't just the dog that had been waiting. It was the man too, in his own way. He had been waiting for something to bring him back to the life he once had, the life he had abandoned when he closed himself off from the world around him. He had been waiting for a connection, for a way to heal. The man reaches out and places a hand on the dog's head, the fur soft under his fingers. The dog leans into his touch, its body warm, and for a moment, the man feels the weight of everything lift. In this simple act of connection, there is healing. There is understanding. The dog's patience has shown him something beautiful and painful. It has shown him the power of waiting, the power of love, and the quiet strength of memory. And in this moment, he realizes that the dog's waiting was never in vain. It wasn't just waiting for a person to return, it was waiting for the man to remember. To remember what was lost and to realize that love, even after time and distance, never truly fades. The sound of a car approaching breaks the stillness of the moment, and the man looks up, his heart suddenly pounding in his chest. He doesn't know why, but he feels as if the moment has finally come. The dog's posture doesn't change, but the man can feel the shift, the anticipation, the quiet hope that everything is about to align. The car slows as it reaches the end of the street, just beyond the house. The dog doesn't move, its eyes fixed on the road, its tail swishing gently. The man stands up, feeling a strange mixture of emotion stirring in his chest. For the first time, he understands the depth of the dog's devotion, its willingness to wait for something that may never come, and yet, it waits still. The car passes by, slowly, and the man watches it disappear around the corner, his heart heavy with the knowledge of what's just beyond the horizon. The dog lets out a small sigh, its body relaxing as the car vanishes from view. And as the man watches, he feels a shift inside himself. He knows that the person the dog is waiting for, the person who has been absent for so long, is closer than they've ever been. The days following the quiet passing of the car are wrapped in a soft silence, the kind that feels almost sacred. The mornings remain peaceful, and the dog continues to wait by the mailbox. The man still watches, though now, there is a quiet understanding between them. He no longer feels like an outsider to this ritual. He has become part of it, part of the waiting, even if it's just in his heart. He no longer feels the rush of life pulling him forward. Instead, he feels the world slowing, as if the earth itself is taking a moment to breathe. Each morning, as the dog stands patiently by the mailbox, the man feels a little more connected to it, and a little more connected to himself. There's a softness to everything now, a tenderness that wasn't there before. The simple act of waiting, of being present in a moment without rushing, has unlocked something inside of him. It's as if he's rediscovered a part of himself he had forgotten. But there's still one question that lingers in his mind. The dog is still waiting, after all. Still hoping, still believing. It's waiting for someone, and the man knows that person is more than just a passing figure. That person is someone who will change everything. The man stands by the window one morning, watching the dog as it waits. The light is soft, the sky still tinged with the first light of dawn. His hand rests on the windowsill, and he feels the same quiet tug in his chest that pulled towards something bigger than himself, something he's been too afraid to reach for. The dog has taught him the value of patience, the beauty of quiet moments, and the healing power of love. As he watches the dog, he thinks back to the days before everything changed. The days when he was caught up in the rush of life, the noise of the world pulling him in every direction. He thinks about the person the dog is waiting for, the one who has been absent for so long. He realizes now that in his own way, he has been waiting for that person too, waiting for something to bring him back to himself, to heal the wounds that had festered in silence for so many years. The man takes a deep breath and steps outside, his feet crunching softly on the gravel. The dog doesn't move as he approaches, it remains focused on the road, its tail gently swaying. The man walks slowly toward it, feeling a strange sense of peace wash over him as he gets closer. When he's standing beside the dog, he reaches out a hand, and the dog leans into his touch, its fur warm and comforting under his fingertips. He smiles softly, feeling the weight of everything settle in his chest. "I know, buddy," he murmurs. "I know you've been waiting. I think I've been waiting too." The dog doesn't respond, of course, but in that moment, the man feels a profound shift. It's as if something deep inside him has cracked open, something that had been locked away for far too long. The dog's quiet devotion, its unwavering loyalty, has broken through the walls he had built around his own heart. It has reminded him that waiting doesn't mean doing nothing. It means hoping, believing, and allowing space for what is meant to come to you. A distant sound catches his attention, the faint hum of a car engine approaching. The dog's body tenses, its eyes narrowing slightly as it looks toward the road. The man's heart skips a beat, a strange mixture of anticipation and hope rising in his chest. He doesn't know why, but he feels as if everything is about to change. The car comes into view, just as it did that day. The same pale blue sedan. The same slow, steady approach. The dog's gaze sharpens, its focus never wavering, and the man stands beside it, waiting just as the dog has been waiting. His heart races with the same quiet excitement that fills the air. As the car nears, the man sees the driver clearly. His breath catches in his throat. It's not just the car that the dog recognizes. It's the person behind the wheel. The figure inside the car is familiar, and the man's heart leaps in his chest. For a moment, he stands frozen, unsure of what he's seeing. And then, just as the car slows near the driveway, the driver rolls down the window. A face appears, weathered by time, but unmistakably familiar. It's someone the man has not seen in years. The dog's tail sways gently, its posture softening, as if acknowledging the return of someone it has always known. The man takes a deep breath, stepping closer to the car. His legs feel heavy, the weight of years of unspoken words hanging between them. But when the figure inside the car looks at him, the man knows, whatever distance there was, whatever time had passed, the moment is finally here. The dog lets out a soft whine, its eyes locked onto the person, and the man feels a tear slip down his cheek. It's not a tear of sadness, but of understanding. The dog has waited. And now, so has he. The figure in the car smiles, the lines on their face softening with recognition. The man's heart beats faster as he steps forward, finally speaking the words that have been lodged in his throat for so long. "I never thought I'd see you again." And as the dog barks gently, tail wagging softly, the two figures, once separated by time, by distance, by grief, take a step toward each other, the warmth of the moment wrapping around them like a blanket. The healing has begun.